As always, I'm your humble host, Niko House. Today I have with me a very special guest, former Green Party presidential candidate and independent journalist, Ian Schlakman. How are you doing, Ian? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Niko. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. No problem at all. I've been meaning to get you on because I heard some news that honestly it gave me the vapors. Ian, it gave me the vapors as a progressive. I'm not going to lie to you. As a person who I was a former surrogate for Jill Stein. And I really, really like the Green Party. I like a lot of people who are in the Green Party, like yourself, like Dario Hunter. But somebody told me I got to reach out to Ian because the Green Party ain't really acting right. They acting a little Democratic-esque up in this piece, okay, up in this hiznit. Please, Ian, say it ain't so, man. Please say it ain't so.
No, it's unfortunately very, very true. There's an old fight between two factions of the Green Party, basically what you could call the Jill Stein wing of the Green Party, the nice part of the Green Party, I guess you could call it, and then Howie Hawkins faction of the Green Party, who's now in line with a couple different folks who are behind him. Basically, this goes back to the end. Well, it starts way before that. It goes way back, years and years and years. I'm a relatively new Green. I only joined myself in 2014, got started with the Green Party 2015. I was a volunteer for Jill Stein, so I saw a lot of this stuff on the inside. I think that Jill had a plan to expand the Green Party when she did her electoral reform, her electoral investigation into election rigging at the end of the 2016 election. The people who are now the Howie Hawkins faction, you're talking about Kevin Zeese, Margaret Flowers, and
Not
Andre
Kevin
America.
Zeese, no!
No, I mean, he actually, Primo Nutmeg just put an interview out yesterday with me where he interjects with the whole article of Kevin Zeese, where Kevin kind of details a bit of some of this from his perspective. I think Primo did a great job with that. But yeah, Kevin
I
Zeese
like
is
Primo's
definitely
work. I
part of
like
this.
Primo's work.
Yeah. So basically, they did not want Jill to do that electoral investigation into election rigging in the 2016. Jill offered to put that money directly into the party coffers. She
I
raised
remember.
quite a bit of money on it. She wanted the Green Party to hire the lawyers and do the investigation,
I
hand
remember
over the
that.
mailing list to the Green Party. And this faction said absolutely not. They completely rejected it. I don't know if it was some kind of personal beef or if they had some kind of the reasoning they gave doesn't really make any sense to me personally.
Yeah, it's
Electoral
peculiar.
reform is what we need to do in the Green Party, so I don't
That's
get it.
the biggest obstacle to your viability at this point because you finally, after 2016, Jill Stein, low key was a strategic genius. She had been planting the seeds for people to switch over to the Green Party months in advance. And even though people liked Bernie and, obviously were firmly behind Bernie, a lot of people were like, well, I mean, honestly, if Jill Stein would have had a viability at that point, they would have switched to Jill earlier. So she had been already in the hearts and minds of progressives from all factions of all parties. And then once the election was over, she used Hillary Clinton's own argument against her to raise money to sue, to reconcile the voting machines, which of course a lot of which we knew could not be reconciled, which is why she even won a
Right.
lawsuit in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way it happened. I mean, for me, it was an interesting time to bring a lot of new people into the Green Party. I think something to know about this faction that's gotten behind Howie Hawkins is that they're kind of a Green Party purist. They really do not want any sort of alliance with any kind of Democrats or anyone even outside of the Green Party. Like, for example, they're very much against the Working Families Party because some of the Working Families folks are connected to the Democratic Party. So like they particularly reject something like California's Progressive Alliance, which is a slate that would raise money for progressive Democrats and Greens and Independents. They're completely against that kind of thing. And
That's
what's
silly.
even kind of yeah, well, that's sort of the way they operate, but it's more about at this point in time, it's really about money. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. We want to get down to brass tacks here. This is about the fact that they saw Kevin Zeese. You have to remember is someone that actually ran, that was the press secretary for Ralph Nader, so he's familiar with the ins and outs of the Green Party and how it operates and the presidential level and what it could do. They meaning this faction, how much money Jill had raised, first with basically raising $1 million and then getting $1 million matching in her first run, and then in her
Yeah.
2016 run raising well over $1 million.
Yeah, I heard they set a record, right? She set a record. She set a record that year.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, it was phenomenal. But they saw this money going through Jill's hands and her team, and they weren't part of it. So basically, this is an effort to make sure it runs through their hands. They do not like the amount of money that they want to see that run through their hands. It's kind of pure and simple.
Well, okay, but I don't understand if it's running through their hands. That means it should be going directly to the Green Party and its operations. But it seems like to me, if there shouldn't be any difference, but they're creating a difference, which means that there seems to be some nefarious intentions going on here.
No, and this is something that I've been personally extremely troubled by, because one of the tactics of the Hawkins team is that they're actually saying funds that, so when you're a Green, every single state has a different way to get on the ballot or to run your own primary. That's the way we do it nationally in this country. Every state is different. So every state earmarks certain funds that they have to use to either get signatures or to hire lawyers to get on the ballot or to run their own primary. One of the things that the Hawkins team is advertising is, don't waste your money running an independent campaign to get on the ballot. Give your money to the Hawkins team, and then the Hawkins team will hire someone to get you a ballot line in your state.
That makes zero sense.
I mean, if you're in the middle of a primary where you need people to, you can't take funds that were decided to be for getting the state ballot line and handing it over to one particular presidential candidate before the primary is over. That makes no sense. You're exactly right. It's corrupt as hell.
Man, that's heavy, because I know a lot of people like Howie Hawkins and a lot of people love the Green Party, but I think that and this is my opinion, you don't have to really comment on this, but it goes back to something that I've actually said for quite some time. I said it in 2016. I said it in 2020. I've been an independent. I only registered to the Green Party to vote for Jill in 2016. Then I registered I had to register as Dem to vote for Tulsi in Florida. But I'm an independent through and through, and I've always said that you can't really put any of these parties on a pedestal. And it's not because of the parties themselves, but as long as there are human beings running them in a corrupt electoral process, then you're going to have to hold all these parties to account at some point.
Yeah, and it really kind of gets worse with the Green Party, because not only did we discover, and this is one of the main things that made me leave the party, was that the Presidential Campaign Support Committee of the Green Party, that's the entity in the Green Party that's supposed to make fair election decisions about the primary through and through. I finally got someone who left the Presidential Campaign Support Committee to admit that the Hawkins team wrote the rules. They literally wrote the rules for how every single candidate has to run, and some of those rules we outright rejected. On top of that, they also have people inside the party in very high places, such as they've got co-chairs still at the very top of the party, such as Margaret Flowers. Andrea Merida was termed out, but before that, she was a co-chair, and she would go throughout the country saying, literally, I'm here with two hats today. I am the Green Party co-chair for the entire country, and I'm the Howie Hawkins campaign manager. Let's all have a fair debate. Could you imagine if Tom Perez walked onto the debate stage and said, hi, I'm Tom Perez, the chairman of the DNC, and I'm the Joe Biden campaign manager. No big deal. Let's have a fair debate. I mean, Democrats would scream, and rightfully so. But in the Green Party, if you talk about this kind of stuff, you're labeled anti-green. You're being called a Democrat. You're being called, all kinds of terrible names.
That's funny, because if that happens in the Democratic Party, they call them anti-Democrat and saying they must really be Green Party. That's so coincidental. But once again, it just goes back to what I said, man. It's sad, and it's really sad for the Green Party, for the great people who are running within the Green Party, because Jill set the Green Party up. All they had to do, she set it up. She set up the pins. All they had to do was knock them down. She did all the hard work. Yeah. The most difficult part was finally getting in the national conversation. She did something that I believe not really any other Green Party presidential candidate, or at least any Green Party nominee, has been able to do in really I can't really think of another time, because I mean we're in a new social media area, but she did something which is like, she was on CNN. Her standing up and getting arrested at the debates was national news. She was finally she injected the Green Party by force into the national conversation, And so all they had to do was turn that into tangible gains at the state level, and that will hopefully transition into a overall national movement by this point. And now the Green Party is fractured, if not more fractured than the Democratic Party. That's ridiculous.
It's not just about fracturing it. Actually, what they did, the Hawkins team, was incredibly smart in a way, because Howie Hawkins was kind of this behind-the-scenes figure. He's one of the many founders of the Green Party back in the day. And basically, Margaret Flowers and Kevin Zeese, I think one of them, especially Margaret Flowers, was seen as the next possible presidential candidate. I personally went to Margaret Flowers and Kevin Zeese and said, "Are you going to run?" The answer was no. "Are you going to pick somebody else?" To my face, they told me no. I said, "Okay, then I'm running." They could have just told me right then and there they were going to run Howie Hawkins, but they didn't. But needless to say, the reasoning behind Hawkins was incredible, because Hawkins is kind of he's behind the scenes kind of guy, and he has a lot of respect. He has a lot of respect from folks in the party. So it's very, very difficult, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, that you're going to see Jill Stein go out there and really give it to Hawkins, or come out and say, "I'm going with another candidate." Jill's just too, there's respectability politics at play. A lot of these folks have known Howie for 20 years, and they're not going to all of a sudden
as a nominee
turn around
for her,
and fight him.
I feel like as a nominee, like a prior nominee, I think it's kind of maybe taboo to do that to that degree. Mm-hmm. Right? She can critique some of the inner workings of the party and how they've handled their business and say they should be more even-handed, but she can't really come out like firmly against Howie specifically. I think she was even at one point on his campaign, so it just could come off as sour grapes to some people who may not be privy.
It could, but I would actually dare to say that that's respectability politics right there. I mean, someone that so clearly disagrees with what you're doing when you ran, and she ran on she wasn't a socialist, but she ran on a great anti-imperialist, anti-war platform. And here we have soft imperialist Howie, kind of agreeing with all the Russiagate talking points.
It's funny that you said she wasn't a socialist. As many people as I've heard use that term to attack her. Like, she wasn't a socialist or anything like that. But no, I get what you mean.
I'm a revolutionary socialist. I know all about the differences between Trotskyism and Marxist-Leninist, and I don't think Jill was on either side of that. So I don't think
she was her own thing, that's for sure. But I like
that's right. Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we really have to remember here is that the Green Party, I mean, my whole election was about the Green Party should focus on down-ticket candidates, winnable races throughout the country. That's one of the ways that the DSA grew. They first started on victories at the local level. They went to the state level. They got AOC elected after that. The Green Party should emulate that model. Focus on candidates that could win locally.
Our Revolution did the same. Hell, Our Revolution got local Green Party candidates elected, which was, kind of surprising. But to be honest, Nina did say that if she doesn't care what their political affiliation is, if they're the most progressive candidate, they're the most progressive candidate. And so my thing is, if Our Revolution can get that many candidates elected at the local level, judges, city council members, mayors in some cases, what the fuck is taking the Green Party so long?
This kind of bullshit, excuse my language, but this kind of BS is what's going on right now. Because you have people that are just, stepping over each other and playing all kinds of dirty tricks in the background to get that millions of dollars that they think they could run anybody. They think they could run anybody, even someone as bad as Hawkins. We always criticize Biden's flubs and stuff like that. Why are we not? Even if we give Hawkins the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, you're an old man, maybe you don't know what dead naming is, even though he's done it like way more than just what happened on Primo Nutmeg. He does it all the time. Even if we give him the benefit of the doubt on certain things, he's still a terrible candidate. We really can't deny that. He's a nice man, okay, but that's only going to get you so far. And you can't just sub in Howie Hawkins for Jill Stein and say, hey, this is the candidate now. Everyone stay mad at the DNC and don't focus on our own issues. It's not going to work.
I'm going to be honest. As a person who's been involved in Bernie's campaign, as a person who knows others who have been involved in Jeremy Corbyn's campaign, I'm gonna be honest, I'm tired of old white men I'm gonna be honest with you. These people are not affected by 90% of the issues that a lot of us are fighting for. And so it's easy for them to talk about the right issues and even get the issues right. In the case of sadly enough, Bernie's getting more issues right than Howie Hawkins is, which is kind of ridiculous. That's sad to say for a Green Party candidate. And when it comes time for the rubber to meet the road, they go, well, let me just play ball. We ain't got time to play ball no more. That shit's done. And it seems like over and over again we're having to deal with this. Let me get to some of these super chats because we got some questions. So as somebody said, for instance, thank you very much for the super chat. He said, could it be that the Howie wing is the co-opting wing like the CP USA was supporting Hillary? What's CP USA? I'm not sure what CP is. I know what
Communist Party USA.
Oh, CP USA supported Hillary? I did not know that.
This is like,
that's bizarre.
Yeah.
He said, "Are these people close to the CIA or something?" Look, I don't put anybody from being too close to the CIA. I don't put that past anyone. There are some official assets and there are some unofficial assets. And there are sometimes assets who don't even know they're assets. So I don't put that past anybody. But I do believe there could be some co-opting where they could maybe personally benefit in some way or at the end. So I don't know. But Ian, what do you think?
Well, I think this is way more about, when people are co-opted, that could have been like, you have to look back at Howie Hawkins' beliefs. And one of the things that he's into is this group called Solidarity, which is a socialist group, but I would call them a reform socialist group. I'm a revolutionary socialist. My politics are closer to PSL, if you look them up. So I think that, and what's even weirder here, but this is really all about opportunism, because I don't think if you look at,
oh, we just lost Ian. We're waiting for Ian to come back, which he'll be back in a second. Can you monitor that? We're waiting for Ian to come back. Let me get to some of these super chats. He might have got a phone call. Jason V, thank you very much for the super chat. If all electoral politics is corrupt, what do we do? Whoo, Jason, that is a loaded question. Good God Almighty. I can answer that question, but it'll take me like an hour to answer, Jason. But let me just say that the initial focus should be on ballot initiatives. That's how I feel about that. And that's another video for a different day, like I said. Justin B, thank you very much for your super chat. Is there a phone number to call in as a person intimately involved with this? I'd appreciate a chance to respond to Ian's comments. Is there a phone number to call into for this show? No, not at the moment, unless you mean a phone number to call into the Green Party. This conversation is missing some important perspective as a member of the PCSC. Okay, y'all killing me with these acronyms today. God damn it. We got like 50 different parties. Okay, guys? 50 different parties, 150 different groups. If you're going to introduce a new acronym, say the name first and then continue with the acronym. Damn it. Okay? I can't get all these acronyms right. Expect me to know all the damn acronyms. But you said this conversation is missing some important perspective, and as a member of the PCSC, you believe you should be able to address some of Ian's comments. Well, maybe you can reach out to me on Twitter and we can organize something to have a public discussion about this. I would love to moderate that conversation. And I appreciate the super chats. You back? Got him back? All right. Here's 1 second. We're going to get him back. Does anybody else have any questions before we restart? Are you responding to me? No, you're responding to me. Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for him to. Did he mean PC? No, he didn't mean PCSC. M and P are like completely separate, like they're on separate sides of the keyboard, right? Okay. I don't think he meant NCSC. Oh man. Well, we might have to do a to be continued if Ian doesn't come back. This is no biggie because really he got his point across for sure. And Ren, I hate acronyms on the MCSC network. I see what you did right there, Ren. Good job. It was clever. Justin B, the Presidential Campaign Support Committee. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. See, I'm not supposed to know what that means. That could mean the Presidential Campaign Support Committee for every damn party in the country. But you mean Green Party Presidential Campaign. Okay, gotcha. Please have you on your show sometimes. I'll reach out on Twitter. Okay. It won't let him go back in? Okay, hold up. Give me 1 second. 1 second, people. One second, peeps. Yes. Okay, so now you're here, but you're black. Yes, well, yeah, I resent the link for you to click back into. So you can click that out completely and come back in. Alright. There you go. And you're back, baby. Oh, Lord, baby Jesus. Go ahead, take care of that, baby. All right, do we have any more questions while my wife is getting Ian back in this chat? And Ian, while we are getting you back in the chat, there is a You're back. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. So we have somebody here named Justin who says he's on the presidential campaign support committee and that he would like to have a conversation with you at some point, with all of us, I guess, to respond to some of the criticisms. I'm not sure what criticisms I know what criticisms he's talking about with you, but yeah, I guess that's something that we should probably do. I would love that, moderate that conversation, because I've been getting a lot of mixed. Actually, it hasn't been so mixed. It's mostly just been everybody mad at Howie and the Green Party, and then like 3 people who are pushing back without actually giving me a reason. I know a lot of people keep saying that they have their reasons, but I'm not sure what the context will be. So,
well, I'd love to talk to the PCSC because, from what I understand, they just kicked off a bunch of candidates from the website this week. Oh, so this was something we were fighting against when I was in it in 2019.
Well, Dario Hunter said the same thing. He told me the same thing. He said they kicked off a bunch of candidates too, and they tried to blame Dario Hunter at some point.
Yeah, that's what they do. They make it so they have different kind of requirements, such as ballot, such as signatures and money, and then they take a certain date and time where you didn't make enough money or you didn't get enough signatures, but Howie did. So they could just justify putting just Howie on the ballot or kick everyone else off the ballot.
Man. Okay, and we're not talking about the DNC right now. Just out of curiosity, I want to make sure I put the title as Green Party. I want to make sure that I didn't confuse everybody. We're not talking about the DNC.
Look, this is worse than the DNC because every single state has different rules for how to get on the Democratic Party ballot. So if you go to your local Democratic Party and you look at the Democratic ballot, you'll see names that you know from the national media. But you'll also see names that you don't know because they filled the paperwork out and they got the little bit of requirement that needed to be done to get on the ballot there. What the Green Party is doing is nationally saying, don't let these folks on the ballot anywhere in the country.
In the primary.
In the primary.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Not true. Come on. Justin B said not true. I mean, if we go to the website, will their names be there? Let's check.
This is what I heard earlier this week.
That's what I heard too. Anymore. So let's go to the Green Party. What website would it be called?
gp.org. And then it should be a primary section.
gp.org. We'll get down to the bottom of this right now, people. All right, Justin. I hope you got some receipts now. Elections 2019 candidates. Is that it? Or is there a primary specific?
It should be candidate section.
2019 candidates.
The candidates that they just kicked off would be Chad Wilson, Sidney Curry, Dennis Lambert.
Candidates by year. Oh, it's talking about races 1 right now. Okay. What the hell? So, I see something for races 1.
It should be the presidential primary section of the website.
Is there supposed to be a presidential primary section? Because all I see is elections, 2019 candidates, election database, office holders, appointed officials, run for office, why register green?
There should be a presidential candidate section.
Oh, baby Jesus. 1 to 2020. Okay, here we go. Hunter Elias, which is Dario, Howie Hawkins, Hunter Hunter Elias and Howie Hawkins, and Hunter Elias and Howie Hawkins. Okay. I don't see nobody else. Oh, excuse me. It says at this point in the nomination process, the following candidates have met the basic criteria for official recognition by the Green Party of the United States. They are Howie Hawkins, Daria Hunter, and David Rold. Well, Justin B. I'm pretty sure there were some other candidates.
I invite you to have David Rold on the show.
I'm supposed to have Chad on Monday, I think, or Tuesday, something like that.
I'll tell you why. It's because he jumped through all the hoops that the Green Party made him get in terms of signatures and money and other stuff, and stayed in the race. But I told him it's still going to be rigged. It's not worth you staying in the race. And he kind of now regrets it. Like, as I talked to him earlier this week, he said, I even regret wasting my time because all it did was distract me from running my campaign. I had to deal with these stupid hoops to run through, and now I'm way behind the other candidates. And look at the totals between Dario.
That's so crazy because literally Hawkins. What happens to, I mean, that happened to Tulsi in the Democratic primary because they kept changing the rules.
Exactly. They did change the rule, and they just changed the rules again. They just made it. They just put out an article to all the presidential candidates saying that they are going to give you resources, party resources, whatever that means, access to their Twitter, access to their email list. I don't know. Maybe it means money. Maybe it doesn't. Based on what they think is your viability. So that means David Rold, who spent all that time getting those signatures. I'd be happy to send you the letter.
Oh man, that's so disheartening. And that's crazy too because I really like Dario, and I'm probably going to vote for him if he wins the nomination. But even still, listen, y'all. All I know is the Moving for the People's Party does not have these problems. Not that I'm advocating for anybody to leave any parties or go to other parties. All I'm saying is they're fighting for ballot initiatives right now to make sure they're viable and not stopping anyone from running under their banner. So, Justin B responding with, please look in the chat for the hyperlinks. I will check the chat for hyperlinks. Oh, snaps. I don't know if the hyperlinks are going to appear in the chat because YouTube usually blocks links. So if you have a correction that I need to see, DM it to me, Justin B, and I will check them out. But I'm looking at the links right. I just looked at the page right now, and I just read to you what it says. It says at this point, the nomination process, at this point in the nomination process, the following candidates have met basic criteria for official recognition by the Green Party of the United States. And they're Howie Hawkins, Dario Hunter, and David Rold. That's it. That's all it says. Oh, Jesus. Oh, you want to know what it says next? Ian, you'll love this part. The National Green Party is committed to maintaining a neutral stance towards seeking our nomination. The individual campaigns are responsible for supplying the material that appears below, and a posting does not imply endorsement or approval of the content by any Green Party entity. Whoa, it's nice to know that they're being neutral.
I mean, look, I mean, it's so sad you have to laugh, but this is what I've been saying for over a year. Why are these Greens emulating the Democrats? First of all, that's a problem right there. Don't emulate the Democratic Party.
That's a problem. Go ahead.
And if you look at, there are parties out there. There's a brand new party called the Transhumanist Party. What they did was they said, we're going to take all the candidates. We're going to do 5 or 6 debates with all the candidates, every candidate. And meanwhile, we're only talking about 7 candidates here in the Green Party. That's less than ran with the Democratic Party in the beginning, if you remember. Okay, so, and then they said you have to register to be a Transhumanist Party member by a certain date. Everyone that registered got a ballot. They totaled the ballots, and that was it. They had their one candidate. That's not a controversial primary.
You know what I think this means? Maybe we should allow. Let's reconvene here in about 20. If you have time, do you have time for like another 15, 20-minute conversation?
Sure. Okay,
so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put this on hold. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're gonna let Justin B come in and offer some parody here from the Green Party's official apparatus. Come on, I like to be fair. So I'm gonna send you another link. Justin B, DM me so I can send you a link, and we'll let you all have a conversation and see what's what, because I don't like to be unfair. If you feel like you have another perspective to offer, then I want to be fair in that regard. So we'll be right back, people. We'll be live. The Green Party will give its official defense for the malarkey that we've been seeing taking place. So, Ian, see you in a little bit, and for everybody else, see you in a second. But if you can't be back, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. See you soon.